What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The lighting is absolutely horrible today. I do know that. Unfortunately, it's a very, very stormy morning here. But today, guys, we're going to be checking out something I think is going to be very interesting. And that is the complex reason 100 million pound banknotes actually exist.
This boring banknote may look like it's from the 18th century,
million.
and I wouldn't fault you for thinking that. But believe it or not only is it from the 21st century, but it's also perfectly legal tender.
Really?
It's called Titan, and it is a 100% real 100 million pound banknote.
I'm kind of surprised how plain it looks.
I agree, though, that it does kind of look like it shouldn't be, like, modern. It looks like this should be, like, something from, like, I don't know, 1800s or something like that.
Yep, that is a 1 followed by 8 zeros.
That's insane.
Its cousin, the Giant, is a 1 million pound banknote and is also legitimate, issued by the Bank of England, just like any other pound sterling banknotes you're familiar with. You might think the number of zeros in these notes is ridiculous, but they aren't even the largest denominator of bills seen in a country. This is Zimbabwe's 100 trillion note, equivalent of a whopping 40 US cents.
Not that.
Here is a 100 trillion mark from war-torn Germany, equivalent to some 20 US dollars at the time. Hungary, Argentina, Yugoslavia, and Venezuela have had their big notes at different points in history. These banknotes are a result of financial crisis and hyperinflation, and although these bills have absurd values, many are basically worthless, and those that do have value are worth nowhere near as much as the number on the paper.
Yeah, I can't imagine, like, I don't know what kind of inflation or hyperinflation has happened in the UK through history, but as much as I understand,
that's the reason.
I can't imagine that's the reason, because I've never, no one's ever brought that up in the comments that I've seen, that they've had hyperinflation at some point in the past that created the need for a 100 million pound note.
We experienced it kind of a little bit when we went to Indonesia.
Oh yeah. I can't remember what. I mean, we still got some of that currency, but I can't remember what number. It wasn't 100 million of whatever.
No, but it was millions, I think, wasn't it?
I feel like it was thousands, but maybe it was millions. I don't know. But the fact you guys actually also have a 1 million pound currency, a bill, note, is pretty incredible
Y'all must be
as well.
ballin'.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine having that in your pocket? That'd be crazy.
There are endless reasons why a country would be pushed into hyperinflation,
Not in a good way.
and we won't discuss them here, but often when corrupt governments make bad financial decisions and banks irresponsibly start to print more money than is sensible, existing bills depreciate, sometimes until they lose all their worth.
To the point that a dollar means nothing.
Such notes are useless and almost nothing more than a fine piece of paper. So it might come as a surprise that the United Kingdom also has its own mega banknote. Britain hasn't had any serious inflation in ages. In general, pound sterling is a stable currency, meaning the 1 million pound Giant and the 100 million pound Titan are literally worth what they say they are.
That's crazy.
While they're legal tender, the concept is bewildering. Who would need a 1 million pound banknote in a digitized world where most transactions happen over
That's what I was
computers? And if that's true, then why do these notes even exist? Turns out that the answer is not quite what you'd expect. The Bank of England is the central bank of the United Kingdom, and it has a monopoly on the issue of notes for England and Wales. No other bank in England and Wales is allowed to print money, but this wasn't always the case. Until the middle of the 19th century, printing banknotes was considered the norm, as most of the UK's privately owned banks, big or small, issued their own bills of different colors, sizes, and featured personalities, depending on their local history. They were backed up by actual assets, usually gold, to maintain the confidence of the people in the notes.
Oh my goodness.
So all these different banks used to print their own banknotes?
That's crazy.
All those different banks.
Yeah, all those banks literally could print their own currency. That makes me wonder.
I feel like that would have been really confusing.
Yeah, so so do all the other banks just accept, at that point, accept those different currencies from the other banks?
Yeah, that would get really, because within Scotland, look how many different ones.
I know. That's crazy. Like, I don't even understand how that would work. I mean, did all the
Yeah.
banks just have an agreement that we're going to accept all the other banks' currency?
And the value, like, is
And so, like, could someone like myself just start up a bank and start printing a currency as long as I had gold in my safe, supposedly, to back it up?
Right, supposedly.
That would be the thing, right? You'd have to have gold to back it up, or at least something, mostly gold. That's the first time I've ever heard of that being a thing.
Me too.
However, over time, banks weren't all doing it responsibly and were not able to back up the notes with actual assets,
Yeah.
Okay,
especially
that
in
makes sense.
times when the country faced a shortage of gold. When a series of banks collapsed in England and their issued banknotes created chaos amongst people, the government realized it needed to restrict the note issuing powers of the banks.
Okay.
Through various banking acts along the way, and finally by the Bank Charter Act of 1844, Parliament gave exclusive note issuing powers to the Central Bank of England. The
So
English pound
1844.
sterling issued
1844.
by the bank holds the portrait of the British monarch and are the most popular pound sterling notes in the UK. The Queen has appeared so many times on so many banknotes in the
Wow.
last 85 years that you can actually make a progressive timeline of her life. Credit
That's
goes to
crazy.
Leno for this animation.
Wow.
In Scotland and Northern Ireland, the case was different. Their banks were relatively more responsible and were harmed much less in financial crisis over the years.
Interesting.
So they argued there was no need for them to restrict their rights of printing their own money, which they believed was part of their cultural identity. This guy, named Walter Scott, a popular novelist
Walter
and
Scott,
poet
I've heard
in
of him.
Scotland, adopted the transparent persona of one of his characters and wrote letters and pamphlets to launch a caustic attack on the government proposal. Public meetings were held throughout the country to tell people that the Scottish banking system was doing just fine and the new banking measures would prove to be disastrous for them. It was unjust to punish the Scottish banks for the misdeeds of their English neighbors. As a result of the vigorous campaign, Parliament made exceptions for the region. Private banks in Scotland and Northern Ireland got to keep their note-issuing powers, and Walter Scott got featured on some of the Scottish notes. That sounds like a win, except now the government required these private banks to back up their paper money with an equivalent amount of Bank of England notes as security to avoid overprinting. For every pound in currency these banks produced, another pound was deposited into the Bank of England for
Oh, wow.
safekeeping. This means that in the event of one of these Scottish or Northern Ireland banks collapsing and their pound notes falling out of circulation, the same value of money was secured in the Bank of England. Thus, holders of the uncommon pound notes had security that their bills were still worth their real value because the Bank of England was holding their money in English pound notes. Now, printing billions of pounds worth of notes and then holding this money as backup for centuries was a problem for the Bank of England, and in order to reduce the vault space used,
Oh, I see where this is
had a
going.
solution. Compress an enormous value into just a few banknotes. These bills are the Titan and Giant, worth 100 million and 1 million pounds respectively. Unlike smaller values of notes, Titans and Giants are printed internally and locked in maximum security, which explains their primitive design.
Yeah, that
Unlike
makes
the
sense.
typical pound note or a dollar bill, Titans are printed on A4 paper and Giants are printed on A5 paper. Titans require signing by the chief cashier before they can become legal tender. Totaling over 8 billion pounds, more than 4,000 Titans and Giants have been printed by the Bank of England. Titans and Giants are not in circulation for obvious reasons.
Okay,
No
all
cash
right.
machine will ever dispense a 1 million or 100 million pound note, unless in the case of hyperinflation like that of Germany after World War I. However complicated it may sound, this system has allowed Scotland and Northern Ireland to have their own banknotes in fantastic colors and designs, which
Okay.
represent their culture and pay respect to their personality.
I was wondering about that.
I had
in the
heard that,
past.
and I didn't quite grasp the reasoning behind it. I didn't understand exactly what they were talking about in the comments, but I've heard that they had different currency.
See, I didn't know that. I thought they would all have the Bank of England type currency.
Yeah, it would make
So
sense
that's
on the surface.
interesting. I love that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would love to be able to look at all these different types of currency, like especially if you go back before the Bank of England and you saw so many of them here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just incredible, like how many there were, like all those banks, and so you can imagine over time if someone were to collect all those somewhere, somebody has a collection of a large amount of these notes. And I bet it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's so many different ones that have obviously gone
Out of circulation
over the last, 160, 70 years?
So Wales has the English currency then?
Yes.
Okay.
Bank of England is, Wales, it covers England and Wales, and then Scotland and Northern Ireland have their own banks, but they have to keep equal amount of their currency.
So it's still the same as when they first did that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
After various consolidation and rebranding, currently there are 3 banks in Scotland and 4 in Northern Ireland that issue their paper money. They are the only ones in the UK that do not feature the Queen. In 2015, Scotland's Clydesdale Bank was the first to issue a polymer note in Great Britain. Ulster Bank from Northern Ireland recently issued the first vertical banknote in the country. These attractive,
I've never seen that before.
Also act as a marketing tool for
I
banks.
love it.
That's beautiful.
Oh, as a marketing tool for banks, that makes sense.
That's crazy. A marketing tool for banks. The currency being a marketing tool for a bank.
Yeah, well, if you have like 3 or 4 different banks that print money. And my question is, of the 4 banks in Northern Ireland that have their different notes that they print, are you able to like spend those anywhere in Northern Ireland and vice versa? Or do you have to only, I don't know, it seems confusing.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that works either. Let us know in the comments a little more about this, guys, or point us in the direction of a video or something we could look at to kind of dive more into the way the banking system works in the UK in general.
The bearer is often reminded of these banks, and it's a major reason why banks don't want to give up their rights of printing money.
Yeah.
All is not well, though. Scottish and Northern Irish banknotes have been subject to much controversy and confusion amongst English people. Like I said before, these bills are legit and authorized by the UK Parliament, which means they are accepted in all banks and post offices across the UK.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, but like I knew that would be the case. I mean, obviously they're not going to have legal tender that can't be spent. But the fact is, I'm wondering if, the post office refused to accept these Scottish notes, even though they're legal tender. Is that actually illegal? Like here, you couldn't say a place couldn't deny accepting a dollar bill. But we only have one currency, obviously.
True. I wonder, I don't know the specifics in this situation. I wonder if it was like they refused it because it was Scottish or because they didn't realize it was legal tender.
I don't know.
How could you not, though? I mean, at this point, this has been a thing for...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They are widely used for day-to-day transactions of goods and services in their respective regions, and also in England and Wales to some extent. However, technically speaking, they're not considered legal tender
not.
according to the law. Legal tender is a technical term with little practical meaning and should not be confused with the legal or authorized nature of a banknote. Not being legal tender means that a person can refuse to take these notes to settle a debt issue, and he or she cannot be taken to courts. But as long as the buyers and sellers agree to use these banknotes for day-to-day transactions, there are no issues.
Interesting.
Ignorance and misinformation have led many businesses in England and Wales to believe that Scottish banknotes are less valuable than English ones, so they look at them suspiciously. A survey conducted amongst Scottish people in 2014 found that 70% of Scots have had their cash payments rejected in England. 50% of them were told that their money wasn't legal tender. Another survey conducted amongst English people in 2019 found that 76% were unable to identify where the Scottish currency was from, while 33% believed the notes to be counterfeit or fake.
Oh, wow.
Many thought they looked like Monopoly money. All of this causes much embarrassment and irritation to Scottish people when their paper money is rejected in England. Several MPs from Scotland have raised objections against this discrimination of Scottish paper money in the past decades. The proposed bill to legally compel businesses in England to accept Scottish banknotes was rejected in 2009 and again in 2019. Many argue that Scottish and Northern Irish banks should just use the same printed currency as England to avoid confusion. In the fight between banknotes, these regional banks seem to be losing the battle. Last year, one of the 4 banks in Northern Ireland announced that they would gradually stop issuing their own banknotes and would switch to dispensing Bank of England notes from their ATM network. Another Northern Irish bank has withdrawn their 50 and 100 pound notes and now issue a Bank of England 50 instead. If more banks follow this way, the giants and titans may not be needed to back up the value of uncommon notes anymore. For now, the titans and giants live on and lay claim to a great deal of fame. One £1 million note was sold for £69,000 at a specialist sale in London a decade
Wait,
ago,
what?
even though it is, in practical sense, just a piece of paper.
Oh, you can't.
Until you
That's the small but
Until it's
curious
signed.
tale of Britain's £100 million banknotes.
That's interesting.
It is. I didn't realize there was such, like, layers of history here for the currency.
And so technically, the Scottish and Northern Ireland notes aren't legal tender,
Even though they are.
even though they are. If
Not technically, but they are.
if people agree to it, that seems like if you've got Scottish or Northern Ireland banknotes and you go to England or Wales, you technically don't know if they will be accepted.
Right.
I mean, like,
Is this really a big problem?
it seems like it is, looking at the stats of like how many, like 7 in 10 Scots have had their currency rejected. Like, that seems like a huge deal, because if you're getting paid, you're cashing out this, cash, and then you go to England or Wales, and there's a very high chance, because a lot of people don't recognize the currency and whatnot. And I can understand if you don't see it all the time, you're not going to recognize the currency. But it's like, wow. But I will say, this is going to obviously become less and less of an issue, because for whether you like the way things are going so digital and whatnot or not, the fact is that it's like
Going in that direction.
It's going that direction. And so I got to admit, like, I don't remember the last time I really used cash. I mean, we do every once in a while, but it's like, it's pretty rare these days.
Yeah. I hate the idea, though, of switching everything to.
I do too. Like, I was about to say that. Like, I love the idea of making sure cash stays in circulation and we can use it. It's just one of those things that it's
Convenience factor, yeah.
Going to an ATM to actually get out cash, right? It's like everything is so digitized these days that it's just like, I do that every once in a while. Maybe every few months we go get some cash at an ATM.
Yeah.
But it's like all bills are paid online now. Like, I write a check for a few things here or there bill wise. But, it's just, yeah.
Did you see where supposedly, kind of off topic but related, where supposedly they're stopping making pennies?
Yeah, because
Wasn't
it
that
actually...
recently?
Yeah, it
Here
costs.
in the US.
Yeah, it costs more to make them than they're worth. I think nickels and dimes may still be worth a little more than what they cost to produce them, but eventually that's not going to be the case either.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think we've reached the point where it makes sense that we don't need pennies.
Right.
I mean, pennies, I'm okay with rounding up or down with that type of thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm in borderline okay with rounding in 5 cent or 10 cent.
Which is what apparently a lot of local business, I don't say a lot, but I saw a post on Facebook the other day. It was a local post.
Yeah.
Saying that one of the local restaurants, I think it was a fast food place, had a sign on their door saying you have to pay an exact change since they're not printing any more pennies. And if you can't pay an exact change, then we'll have to round up your total or something. Yeah. Or you have to pay with card.
Yeah. I just hope that cash doesn't go anywhere anytime soon, because here's the thing, once everything becomes digitized, you no longer have as much control. You just don't.
Right, and at any given moment, it could be turned into the whole social credit score thing and easily turn off your access to your own money because you're not doing things a certain way or,
Yeah. You just never know. You never know where that'll go, in the future. But I definitely, I know, unfortunately, that it's likely it's heading that direction that eventually cash won't be around. And that's just unfortunate. Because cash is freedom. It really is in a lot of ways. Even though I don't use cash all the time, I recognize that it is freedom. I mean, someone should be able to store their money under their mattress if they want to. I personally wouldn't do that, but I think someone, if they wanted to, they should be able to store it out back in jars. It's not a good idea. You're going to lose a lot of money with inflation, but nonetheless, you should be able to do that. That's kind of off topic, I guess.
Yeah.
But this was kind of mind-blowing in a way, guys. I learned so much more about the way the banking system works over in the UK than I thought I was going to learn going into this video.
Yeah, I had no clue that Scotland and Northern Ireland, you guys had your own banknotes.
This is very fascinating. I'd love to look at this topic more. Let us know in the comments if there is any, videos or certain topics that we should look at in terms of the currency. But it's kind of mind-blowing that I still can't wrap my head around how it's able to be used, but only if
if it's agreed upon.
Only if someone agrees upon
and
it. So I'm going to this business in my country, and I have this currency from my bank in my pocket, but I get there and there's a chance they may tell me that they won't accept it, and they supposedly can because it's not legal tender.
So people in Scotland and Northern Ireland, when you guys want to go to England or Wales, do you just hope for the best and take your currency, or do you go and convert to, how would that even work?
I'm guessing
possible?
most people probably use cards now.
That's true.
But
it's probably not as big of an issue anymore.
Yeah, I think a place where you might find this issue more is people that live on the border. They are Scottish and they live on the border of England, and they cross the border quite often to go do something in northern England, and then they already have currency in their pocket they're going to spend in Scotland.
But you would think it would be much more common then at the border, border area.
I bet it is, but even still, you're going to have... Yeah, because so many people just use digital, they pay with cards and whatnot now. So it's not something... Think about how often... do you really see cash being handled when you go to the store these days? Yeah. You don't. You just don't.
More rare. Also, I wonder if the issue is generally with younger people. If you go to a store, is it usually the younger cashiers that don't understand that this is they don't know the history behind it?
They're more likely to just do digital stuff
What's
anyway.
This? Yeah.
I bet you're right. There's probably something to that.
Anyways,
guys,
very fascinating.
Very interesting topic. Really enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments what you think we should check out next. But I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey. Until next time, peace.
Bye.